Hi, my name is Kelly Jakubowski, and this presentation is called Age and Gender Differences in Music-Evoked Autobiographical Memories. So the topic I'll be talking about today is music-evoked autobiographical memory, which is often abbreviated as MeM. And this is the experience when you're listening to a piece of music and it brings you back to personal memories from your past, which could include very specific events or more general memories of time periods, people, and places from your life. So there's been a variety of previous research on this topic to date already, and previous studies have focused on describing or characterizing this experience of music-evoked autobiographical memory and comparing memes to autobiographical memories evoked by other types of cues, as well as looking at memes in clinical samples, in particular people with Alzheimer's disease. And one limitation of previous research so far is many studies have used relatively small or opportunity samples, often focusing predominantly on undergraduate students, or some studies that have focused specifically on the reminiscence bump in memes have looked at just older adults without looking at younger adults. And so one of the gaps here is that we need more research in order to understand how memes vary systematically across the full adult population, and in this case we're focusing in our study on the healthy adult population. So the aims of the present work were to explore the properties of music-evoked autobiographical memories in a representative sample of adults. Specifically, we wanted to look at how memes vary across age and gender. And we also compared memes against another type of autobiographical memory, which was those evoked by TV watching. So just to explain why we chose TV as our comparison stimulus to music, so Andrea Halpern and colleagues have shown a need to choose active control conditions in another study where they were looking at music-related autobiographical memories. Specifically, if you ask people simply to recall any other autobiographical memory, the search space is much larger compared to when they're just focusing on music-cued memories. So we wanted to have a more active, specific cue like TV. And also, TV watching occurs with roughly a similar daily frequency to music listening in the UK, which is the population we're focusing on here, people in the UK. And so, basically these two cues, music and TV, are experienced on a roughly equal basis in daily life. And TV shows also show various other similarities to music. They unfold over time, can express a wide range of emotions, convey the zeitgeist of a time and culture, and can serve as a social surrogate, similarly to music. Obviously, there's various differences between TV and music as well, but we would argue here that there's no comparison stimulus that's exactly equated to music on all possible dimensions. In terms of the method we used, so we used quota sampling to recruit a sample of participants who were representative of the UK adult population on age, gender, and household income. And we also found, although we didn't quota sample on these properties, we found retrospectively that our sample was also quite representative in terms of education levels and musicianship in terms of the UK population. So after filtering out the usable responses from the data, we had 657 participants from 18 to 85 years of age. And we did the study via an online survey, which was hosted on Qualtrics. Specifically, participants were asked to report details and make ratings about their most recent meme and their most recent TV-evoked autobiographical memory, which I'll call a TEAM, in a counterbalanced repeated measures design. So all participants reported both a meme and a TEAM. So for both the memes and the teams, we measured 3 categories of memory properties. The first category I'll call retrieval characteristics, which were ratings of features of the memory, such as how vivid the memory was, how much they felt they were reliving the experience, how personally significant that event was to their life, how much they were re-experiencing the same emotions as at the original event, and the amount of effort taken to recall the memory, so whether it came to mind involuntarily or whether it was a more deliberate effort to recall that particular memory. The second category of properties we looked at was from the memory description. So participants wrote a short description of the memory, and we used linguistic inquiry and word count, which is a software that's been used in various other meme research as well. And this software automatically classifies individual words into themes using large dictionaries of conceptually related words. And so we were specifically interested in the themes of perceptual and social words. And examples of perceptual words would be things like names of colors or the word see or hear. And social words, examples of social words would be things like friend or classmate or family. So we wanted to look at the percentage of words in those categories. And finally, the third category of memory properties was emotional responses to the memories. So ratings of the positive and negative emotions. So the positive emotions we looked at were happiness, love, interested, calm, admiration, and pride. We took the mean across these categories of positive emotions. And we also looked at the mean negative emotion rating across sadness, anxiety, anger, and disgust. These emotions categories are based on previous research by Patrick Yuslin and colleagues. We also looked at ratings of nostalgia and emotional intensity of the memories. In terms of the analysis we ran, so we ran three MANOVAs, one for each of the three sets of memory properties. Where we looked at the effect of cue, so music versus TV, age group, so we split the participants into three roughly equal age groups, and gender, female or male, on these three sets of memory properties, and we followed these up with post hoc univariate tests with bone-frody correction. So the first set of results is for the retrieval characteristics. And you can see there were several differences between music versus TV cued memories, with music cued memories being rated higher on reliving, experiencing of the same emotions as at the original event, the personal significance of the memory, and how vivid the memory was. But there was no difference in terms of ratings of retrieval effort. So both music and TV evoked memories were both rated fairly low on effort, meaning that both came to mind fairly involuntarily. In terms of our individual difference measures, age and gender specifically, we found one significant effect, which was that memory vividness ratings significantly increased with age. But this was the case for both music and TV evoked memories, so we didn't find any interaction here between age and cue type. So in both cases, memory vividness ratings increased with age. And we didn't find any other significant effects of age, gender, or interactions between any of the other variables. Then we looked at the memory descriptions, so the written descriptions of what happened in the memory. And again, we find differences between music and TV, with music cued memories having more words falling into the perceptual category and the social category than the TV evoked memories. Interestingly, the meme descriptions were actually shorter overall than the team descriptions. There were significantly fewer words used, but we still had more words, total percentage of words falling into these two categories. In terms of the age and gender effects, we only found, again, one significant effect, which was an effect of gender on the percentage of social words reported, with participants who identified as female reporting a greater percentage of social words in both the music and TV evoked memories. So again, no interaction here between the gender and the cue type. And no other significant effects were found of age or other interactions found. We then finally looked at ratings of emotional responses and again find some effects of music versus TV here with music-cued memories, these memories being rated as higher in positive emotions and emotional intensity and being rated lower in terms of negative emotions than TV-evoked memories, with no difference in nostalgia ratings. In terms of the age effects, we found negative emotion ratings significantly decreased with age. And again, this was consistent across both the music and TV evoked memories. And we found no other significant effects of age or gender and no other interactions. So to conclude, we found that age and gender did have a few relatively small in terms of effect sizes, effects on meme properties, but that these individual differences of age and gender seem to affect other autobiographical memories as well. So they're not specific to memes themselves. And actually, all of the results we found on age and gender do have precedence in previous literature. So for instance, the fact that older adults rated fewer negative emotions for both memes and teams. This is somewhat related to the age-related positivity effect that's been shown in many different autobiographical memory studies. The idea that, autobiographical memories become more positive with increasing age. We did find more robust differences when comparing music versus TV cues in terms of that memes were consistently rated more vivid, positive, emotionally intense, and had greater social content than teams. And these differences appear to persist across the full adult population, across the large sample and age range that we've used. In future research, we hope to explore other individual differences, for instance, whether cultural variations in music usage and engagement can lead to differences in properties of music-evoked autobiographical memories. And this is just to say, if you want to read more about these results, you can read our paper on this study that just came out last month in Music Perception. Thanks very much to my co-authors, Amy Belfi and Tuomas Eerola, the Leverhulme Trust for funding, and thank you for listening.